Within this framework that I have created, there's 4 phases of it, and it is about how to sustain sovereignty, right? That's the framework. It's about once you become sovereign, becoming sovereign, how do you sustain it? I sustain it with joy, yada yada yada. But right now it's the first part of it is what I call root. And if you look around, you'll see you need to get back to your foundation of who you are. And that means unlearning lots of things, integrating your shadow, doing the work that people might think is scary, but is ultimately very liberating, a lot of fucking fun. If you not a scary cat, like don't be afraid of who you are. I tend to think people who can't face themselves are chicken shit because we love to point out shit in other people. And rightfully so sometimes. We mind your business for the most part, but some people need to get told about themselves, especially if you lack awareness. But I think everyone should be aware of themselves first and foremost before they go start talking shit. Easier said than done. Talking shit is a lot of fun. Regardless, a part of that is getting to your core, right? And I help people doing that. I help people do that, and so the way I am trying to use it is to get people to create what they really want and how they really want to. I see a lot of people who have businesses and it's a copy of a copy of a copy. And that's because they are all performing. They're doing what they think they should do. Oh, that's Leo. That's my little baby boo. They think they're doing it how they're supposed to do it, how you should do it, and so everything sounds the same, everything starts looking the same. There's very few things that delight and surprise people. And that's why when something stands out, it's kind of a big deal, even if it's not all the way authentic, because it's everybody copying each other. And so we all think it's not okay to be ourselves. And so, for instance, I am not editing these videos. Part of it's because I don't want to. I get drained, and that's usually how I kind of know to back off something. Maybe I will in the future. I'm trying to keep them short. I'll just get better at it. I don't know, but they tell you can't do that and things need to be polished. But whatever. Anyway, the point is a part of root that I see is really cool is that once you start thinking about the stuff that makes you happy, once you remember all the things that you used to believe before somebody else told you what to believe, or that you used to do before somebody told you to grow up, or before you started giving everybody else the time and attention that you deserve from yourself, a really interesting thing that happens is you realize that you aren't doing the things you're good at. And it happens because the things you're good at, it comes so naturally to you that you think it's dumb. You be like, duh, or you assume everybody can do that. So it's like, especially if those talents or natural abilities aren't easily monetizable. Is that a word? And so it's like if you sing, if you dance, if you write, you already know there are paths for those things. But if you are really good at bringing people together, maybe you think you gotta, I don't know, be a club promoter, but if you're really good at bringing people together, I see people who are really good at like repurposing things, and I don't mean just physical items, as in ideas, structures. There are people who are really good at imagining things, and there are people who are really good at like using their body. I don't know how to the grace within their body. Not that you want to dance, but like just being able to move in certain ways. It's kind of hard to explain. There are people who are just great at problem solving. I wish I had better examples. And you might be good at, let's say, problem solving, but you have never prioritized it, because I think a lot of us, or I don't know if it's human nature, I don't know if it's always conditioning, but you go to what you're bad at and then you try to work on that. instead of really leaning into what you're already really good at. And so it ends up with you wasting this time or putting your time into getting better at things you're bad at versus putting your time into mastering, like mastering what you're already really good at, because no one's told you it, because you probably don't bring it up. You probably don't even realize it's your like thing. You don't realize that's what you kick ass at. And so when you get back to your root, you stop telling yourself something, because what you're really saying is, if it comes easy, it's not good enough. It's supposed to be hard. Like, your talent is supposed to be hard won. But the phrase natural given ability, God given ability, innate talent, those phrases exist because that shit is true. And so when you get back to your root, like, let's say this, when you're trying to create a business or you have created a business, you might not be using those skills or abilities or talents that come naturally to you that would help you actually build what you wanted, how you wanted to. Does that make sense? And that's why root is so important, because we don't always realize why we're awesome. Humans are awesome because they can learn new things and stuff, but why are you particularly excellent? And it's usually something you've already been given that you have overlooked for whatever reason, or you have been told it ain't nothing to even give time to. Everybody lying. You are the one that gets to say what's worth putting time into and what is worth exploring, and you know the answer already. That's the point. Like, what root does when you're in that phase is that you start to remember you don't need to explain shit. You don't need to tell nobody else what you're doing or why. You don't need their permission. And not permission, you don't need a pat on the back. You don't need a pat on the head. You don't need applause. What you need to do is start hearing yourself, right? Like, start trusting yourself. Start learning what that voice is like again. Start being like, oh shit, I've always known how to do that. You don't? Sucks to be you, that type energy. So I mean, like, we all have these really great things, but then we spend time trying to be somebody else instead of giving ourselves a chance to see what we can really do. And we, as in who you've always been. You have cultivated other skills, and that's beautiful, and I'm sure they're going to come into play, but those core skills are probably the things that fulfill you the most, that make you the happiest, that make you feel strong, that just, it just perk your ass up, because it's, it didn't take a million courses, and this money is something you've always known how to do. And with that, you having to, how to adapt it in certain situations. You already, people ain't gonna be able to catch up with you on your stuff like that. People can't copy that kind of stuff. So that is one of the cool things that kind of happens once you give yourself a chance to become yourself. And it was just on my mind, so I'll probably write something about it and put it up on the site. But anyway, take the time to remember the skills, the talents that come to you like that you love doing, and that you kind of put to the side because someone told you to, even if that someone was yourself. Okay.